Let go of control and all my troubles go away.
Oh.
Meditating every day until the shadow is revealed. Unconditional love
Permeate my feeling. Let go. Let goddess. Why not? She's got it.
I let go and let God.
Let's go. Happy
Yo,
Friday, everybody. This is
happy Friday.
episode number 7. And today we got a good one. It's a very popular in the zeitgeist right now. Everybody wants to lose weight, and everybody wants to, obviously take the quickest and easiest route, and that may be GLP-1s. And we want to start it out with talking about GLP-1s, but the podcast is kind of, if you're someone who wants to lose weight or trim some fat, what are your options? And one of the main options right now are GLP-1s. And GLP-1's the fancy little name, acronym. And but
Yeah,
we'd like to talk about it. Rand, you want to
yeah, let's do it.
share a little bit?
So what the hell is a GLP-1 is the first question you may be asking. And the medical term for the acronym is glucagon-like peptide 1. And it's just a hormone produced in the gut. And so you have these cells in your small intestine. So like within minutes of eating, maybe within seconds, it signals that you're full, and so that helps regulate a bunch of things. And so it's this hormone that does all of that. And so what they've done is they created synthetic versions of that hormone. And so these new meds like Ozempic are called GLP-1 receptor agonists because they attack those receptors. And the difference between like a natural one and this synthetic one is they've basically enhanced it. So it's a lab engineered copy or enhancement of this hormone. And the difference is that your natural one has a half-life of 2 to 5 minutes because there's this enzyme in your body that quickly destroys it. So the 2 to 5 minutes is gone. Synthetic one, that same enzyme can't break it down, and so then it extends the half-life. They changed the structure, the amino acid profile of this hormone, and so now it gives it a half-life of hours or days, right? So now instead of a satiation of 2 to 5 minutes and communication with your body, now that it's ongoing for hours or days, right? And so that's the whole GLP-1 situation. Roughly 12% of the population's on it, is what I've seen. Those are survey data.
Yeah. And
It's just a shit ton of people, man.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that. If you're just having conversations and a lot more people are being open about it, everyone's on them. Everyone, everyone's trying them or they're on them currently. And, it's a big fad. And if you see the stocks of the companies that are selling them, the stocks are booming. They're selling them like hotcakes. They're opening up warehouses everywhere. I have some inside info on that, just in logistics and knowing some of those companies. But they're opening up warehouses everywhere. They can't handle how much volume that they're having
They're expensive too,
to
dude.
ship out.
I looked in the pricing of some of these things, and typical retail price for a month supply of a common GLP-1, Ozempic, Wegovy, or any of the other ones is about $900 to $1,400 a month.
Damn.
That's it's getting up there like a rent payment or a mortgage payment.
Yeah, I guess I should have checked, but is it? I wonder if any of it's covered by insurance or if you can finagle it.
If you have diabetes, because it originally started as a diabetes drug.
Okay.
So like, if you're on diabetes, it'll cover most of it, but even then, you're still sometimes paying $150 a month, even with insurance. And so, I mean, that's why the stock's going like crazy, because even with your own insurance, you're paying $150. That's a significant add to your plan. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that's I think the prices are going down. Of course, like, yeah, I've seen down to like $499 a month. But if you're reasonably healthy and you're going to pay out of pocket, and you're going to pay $500 a month for this. And so,
Mm,
but there's also a black market. Actually, they call it like a gray market, gray black market of people selling these things. You can get them online and weird places, and that's when it starts getting sketchier, of course.
mm,
Uh, so that's one thing to look out for. And another thing that's huge is these telehealth companies. So they'll, like, you can just do telehealth, get a prescription, and they have connections with these compounding pharmacies, which are, they create it themselves, and all of the major big wigs in here are trying to, like, shut all this down so they could sell it, right? Like,
mm.
what's the major company that I
Brigham
think
Bueller, that you're talking about,
he's the
the
guy that was
compound.
talking about it. I was trying to
Mm,
think of the company. Eli Lilly, Eli Lilly, and Novo Nordisk. They're
mm,
just lobbying these regulators to shut down, like, all these alternative supply channels. That's what Brigham Bueller's been talking about
mm,
on a lot of different podcasts. And so, yeah, that's the lay of the land of GLP-1s. And so they it's if you're going to suppress your appetite, be, through this hormone, the synthetic hormone, you're obviously going to lose weight. So let's talk about that. Like, this is what this podcast is about. It's like, how do you lose weight?
mm.
And the research shows that, here, let me get down here because I want to make sure I'm accurate here. The research shows that roughly 15% average weight loss at 12 to 18 months. And these are trials, of course. You can see anecdotal differences on Reddit and people losing like hundreds of pounds and 60 pounds and et cetera. But they did a
Mm,
systemic review, a meta-analysis across 47 randomized controlled trials, and it reduced mean body weight by 10 pounds versus placebo. And so you can lose 10 pounds just by taking it, right?
mm.
And so that's what you're getting. And I've seen many cases of this all over the internet. There's a bunch of celebrities. Serena Williams is doing commercials right now. She's lost a lot of weight.
I was very surprised with that commercial going around,
Yeah, that's all
showing
over
off her
Netflix,
abs and
and just like blatantly uh, talking about it as like she said. They say, this is what she said, direct quote. They say GLP-1s for weight loss is a shortcut. It's not. It's science. After kids, it's the medicine my body needed. GLP-1s helped me lose 31 pounds.
mm,
And then what she was actually promoting was this other company, Roe, which is a telehealth company, which her husband actually is the on the board of.
mm. Yeah, convenient there.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you know us, you would probably immediately assume we'd come out and say, bash it and
Hmm.
say, it is a shortcut. Um, yeah, the Thomas Sowell quote: "There's no solutions. There's only trade-offs." So
Hmm.
if you're taking this, it's not a natural hormone. It's not coming from your body, and it's a synthetic one. So there's definitely going to be some trade-offs, but I think there's a lot of things you can do. And Brigham Bueller talked about that a lot from Ways to Well on some podcasts, and essentially what he was saying, and a lot of other folks say, especially if you're obese, right? And you've tried many things and you just can't hack it, right? You don't have the discipline. You're in an environment that's just chaotic and you can't get the motivation. I think there is places that this is, people should have this available.
Yeah.
And what one of the issues is with and is the dosage amount.
Hmm.
This is one of the big issues with it. And what I was reading into it is like, so they do these clinical trials, the one that you just read off, and a lot of times they're using higher dosages in the clinical trials because they're trying to get a result that is advantageous to the company. It's right?
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
pounds. Oh, boom. So, okay. So they're using higher dosages to ensure they get the result that they want because they're expensive. You know, these trials are expensive. So, in a lot of the society, we shared some statistics in previous podcasts. I think we're at 2/3 of society is overweight and almost half's obese, right? And
Hmm.
kids, the very high numbers as well.
Hmm.
So if you use the average of society, the dosage is going to be high. But if you're a person that doesn't that maybe isn't that obese or that overweight, but still wants to cut some weight and still struggling with some things of getting the discipline and other things to finding time and uh, just start on a low dosage, like very low dosage. And every medicine's different with folks, or not every food, every medicine, all of our bodies react different. Even identical twins,
Hmm.
our bodies react different. Our guts are made up of different bacteria and right? So it all reacts to medicine differently and food differently. So you got to taper with it. You can't just start at this high dose. Then that's when you're going to start seeing the effects. You start on a low dose and then see if you have some of the benefits on the low dose, and if you don't, then trinket it up a little bit, and then
Hmm.
move it up, move it up, move it up. And because what you see at the high dosage is you see that rapid weight loss, which is not natural to the
Hmm.
human body, and then you get the what people are calling Ozempic face.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was reading into that, and I could share a link of some guy that was kind of talking about it. But
Yeah, just
it,
Google,
yeah,
Chat GPT, whatever you use these days, Ozempic face, and you'll see what we're talking about.
you get these sunken cheeks, and I was reading it, and it's not really just because the GLP-1. It's more because you're taking a GLP-1 at a high dosage, and it's rapid weight loss to where and we have two different types of fats. You
Hmm.
have the subcutaneous fat, and then you have visceral fat. And the subcutaneous fats, like our face is all made of subcutaneous, and the visceral is all the inside body with our
Hmm.
organs and like
Hmm.
surrounding our organs.
Hmm.
So like so when you start to get overweight, first it starts to show up in the subcutaneous on the outer layers, right? So your fat, your hips, your stomach, and it starts to show there. And then eventually, once you get so overweight and then start to get towards the obese, then you start. It's like I don't have anywhere else to put this fat on your arm. So then it
Hmm.
starts going in to the inside, and then that's when it gets really difficult to lose weight because then and you see it all the time through society or know folks that are trying to lose weight. They'll drop 5-10 pounds and then they'll get frustrated because they'll kind of plateau there. And a lot of times you're just
Yep.
losing that outer fat, the subcutaneous fat, and then you, and to really get into the visceral fat, to losing that fat that you build up around your internal organs and the like, you have to be very very disciplined and last many many months and weeks, you know, days in and days out of that healthy eating, exercising, and the like to
Yeah.
start losing that. And that's where most of society is. I think we're starting to build on. You have a lot of that visceral fat, and you
Hmm.
can't lose it. So we get frustrated, and you have to step into the GLP-1s, which is fine, but you like when I looked up that Ozempic face, so many celebrities are on
Yeah.
it, and it just you don't want your face looking like that.
No.
It's like very zombie-ish.
Yeah. Scott Disick, people will know he's off on the Kardashians. He dated, he's the baby daddy of the Kourtney Kardashian's kids. If you look him up, he had like a beautiful baby face, and then he looked like Christian Bale from that movie where he lost a shit ton of weight. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, it looks crazy, and And yeah, you obviously don't want that. So like if you're losing weight, you obviously want to look good. You're losing weight because you want to look good. It's an appearance thing, of course. Health is another reason, I hope.
Mhm.
And one of the things that Brigham Bueller was talking about, because he has one of those telehealth companies like Ways to Well, is what he does with his patients is they they have like it's a combination. It's a personalized medicine, whereas is currently in the way it's currently in the mass marketed is, as you were talking about, it's very high doses. And what you need to do is more like a personalized, modest dose. He calls them micro doses, and then he combines them with other, excuse me, other peptides. So things like, other peptides like I like excuse me, IGF is what it's
Mm.
like.
Yeah.
And so you mix it with IGF, with it's a growth hormone, and then it helps preserve lean muscle mass and preserve bone mineral density. And
Hmm.
then exercise, there's like in the research it was showing there's evidence that exercise can mitigate bone loss in people on GLP-1s. And so
Hmm.
there's just this combination effect. Whereas, like, yeah, even if you're taking these things, you should still try to exercise, eat healthier while you're on it, and so you don't have those like as high as negative trade-offs that you were talking about, where there's no solutions, there's only trade-offs.
Hmm. Yeah. When it's because when you're on this, you're losing your appetite, and so and you get full really quickly because it's this kind of what you were talking about at the beginning. It's sending your body these messages, and then it's lasting much longer than our normal hormones. So it's sending this message for a long time that hey, you're full, you eat a couple bites, you're satiated for a lot. But what happens then is you're not getting all the nutrients that you normally
Yeah,
get,
and
right?
especially if you're not eating a great diet. So if you're not eating a great diet and you're on this, then you're like very depleted nutrient wise.
Jeez
So
Louise.
we were just talking about so if you're eating a bad diet and you're taking GLP-1s, then you will obviously like have nutrient deficiencies that are like severely impacting your health, and so that's just something else to look out for when you're on it. And since it's a synthetic, one of the things I want to talk about is fasting. And since this is a synthetic, and you may think, oh well, fasting would be the same thing, right? Like, why doesn't it have these problems? Well, fasting is like natural to your body, right? Like your body
Hmm.
reacts to fasting in a natural way, and there's all of these like downstream effects. Well, this is a synthetic hormone, and it isn't acting naturally to with your satiation that
Hmm.
it's creating. And so like
And it's
what
going at a like a speed that's natural to the human body when it comes to
yeah,
weight loss and all your hormones functioning.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so I think like that's one of the things that you just need to be able to look out for. So let's just talk about some of the other, while we're on that topic, like
Hmm.
what are some of the side effects. um, one of the limitations with these synthetic GLP-1s is that there's no research beyond 3 years.
Hmm.
The research is okay, especially if what you're measuring is weight loss. Like it does help with weight loss, of course. And but there is evidence across like your so gastrointestinal issues are common. And so like GI, so there's like they've done a meta analysis over a bunch of randomized controlled trials and found that GI adverse event rates are roughly 12%, so pretty high, right?
Hmm.
And nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. And then when I was on Reddit looking at like anecdotal feedback from physicians and people who were taking them, I saw some stuff that uh, came up a lot, and it was like gallbladder risk,
Hmm.
uh, and so gallstones, and so that came up a lot. So there was even a large meta-analysis of 55 randomized controlled trials where it does increase the risk of gallstones, and so there's gallbladder risk, and basically what I believe the mechanism for this is again, like when I talked about in the beginning, how your natural hormone that, you eat food, it communicates this GLP-1 back to your body and says you're satiated. It it's a 2 to 5 minute half-life. And so what happens when you are taking this synthetic one is they've modified it so it extends that, but then it has unintended consequences to your GI
Mm-hmm.
tract. And so then over time, what begins to happen is you start to have GI issues.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Uh,
Gary Brecka called it slows gut motility, and so that if it
mm,
and so that's like movement through your GI tract and whatnot. And so then that's it also, there's evidence that it causes muscle loss, which is not good. And you know lean muscle mass is one of the number one predictors of longevity. And so if you're losing lean muscle mass, you don't want to lose lean muscle mass. You want to retain muscle when you're losing weight, which fasting does.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's very important to know. And so those are some of the side effects that you would need to look out for. And that's why, like we were talking about with, if you have a physician that can get you on like not a mega dose, you can get with these other peptides, you can exercise, you can eat right with it. It's going to help with these side effects. Um, and maybe, another thing that you see a lot is like once people stop taking the synthetic GLP-1s, they gain the weight back.
Mm-hmm.
That was common, especially if you didn't change any of your behavior with your life. And so if you weren't exercising, you weren't doing anything, you just started taking it, and then you just changed and
Mm-hmm.
stopped taking it,
I've read that a lot.
that is common.
And it's like our body gets all ramped up of, when it comes back, then our hunger hormones like ghrelin and everything just like ramps up when you get
Mm.
off of it, and then you
Oh
just become
shoot,
this like
yeah.
ravenous person because your body's trying to like, "Oh, damn, we're low on protein, we got to get all this kind of protein, then we got
Mm.
all this." And then what you're eating probably, or the standard American diet is usually eating, is junk food, processed
Mm.
foods, right? High sugars. So you're just with a little bit of protein, or protein that's like very low quality. So
Mm.
then your body's kind of going on this like fast type thing, but like a synthetic fast with the
Yeah.
GLP-1s, and then you're refeeding it, and then you're just going to gain all the weight back, and you're going to get all disappointed. So like, if you're on it, you got to start making some discipline changes. It should motivate you if you're on it to,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm starting to see some weight loss. My legs look good. My hips look good. All this stuff. People are giving you compliments, as long as it's not, as long as you don't have an exemptive face.
Ozempic base. Yeah.
uh, so, you're getting all these compliments. So build confidence, and then start to hack down at your daily disciplines. Are you waking
Mm-hmm.
up and exercising? Are you waking up and taking walks? Are you getting some sunlight? All those things that we talked about in previous podcasts. But really got to change your diet. When I was looking up one of the things when it comes to like what causes humans to become overweight. And again and again and again, and there's more studies coming out, but ultra processed foods is what's causing the majority of it. There's a few studies, like random control studies, that even when diets were matched with calories, macronutrients, sugar, fat, all that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the participants on the ultra processed diet ate 500 extra calories a day, ate faster, and gained 2 more pounds
Mm.
than the other folks.
Mm.
And it was just like, and this is, to us, it makes sense, but most of society, it's like you're not, and then this is causing inflammation and causing an influx of things going wrong in your body. You're not getting the nutrients. Your body stops functioning properly. You have all this inflammation from the sugars and seed oils, and breaking everything down, not allowing your body to, function properly. And what's factored in the processed foods is like the ultra process. The main ingredients are like the worst parts of it are like the seed oils, high fructose
Mm,
corn syrup, any type of flavorings, red 40, those, and emulsifiers.
mm.
Always have what's like some of the most common emulsifiers? You see them all the time. I'm trying to think.
Oh, man. Of course, I'm not gonna be able to.
You'll see them. They're towards the end of the
Yeah,
ingredient list.
yeah,
Y- so it's like essentially just start reading your ingredient labels and really try to change your diet, because if you're not going to change your diet, this is then you're going to be forced to stay on it 20 for a long time, and then you're going to be then you're not going to live as long. I can tell you right now, you're not going to live as long, and you're going to have a pretty poor end of life because you're
yep,
going to be deteriorated down. Like protein is one of the most important things that the more and more I learn about nutrition and health, protein is one of the most vital, and quality protein. You're getting all your essential amino acids in your protein, and
hmm
from high quality meat, whether it's red meat. Red meat's probably the best, or even organ meats, right? We've talked about that before, but
hmm
organ
hmm
meats and
Fish,
fish,
protein. Yeah.
big, yeah. So like you really the most important thing I think right here is like you need to change your diet and start
Along
making
with it.
and having better habits, and then start to taper yourself down off of it, and then you'll be good, right? um
Yeah. The emulsifier, I looked it up. Gorgum, carrageenan, or whatever how you pronounce it, is a couple of them.
yeah.
So one of the people who did this right recently is without GLP-1s is Jelly Roll.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I was looking at his regimen, and he switched to a high protein whole food diet. We're just talking about protein and smaller, more controlled meals. He only ate 2 full meals a day, and he he did a lot of cardio, and he actually even began running. And so walking, running 2 to 3 miles per day, 4 to 6 days per week, he got up to. And I know he was doing daily sauna, like 20, 30 minutes. He was doing cold plunges, and yeah, and so then it basically just he would play basketball, boxing, light gym work, and he just changed his entire regimen.
And if you don't know
And
Jelly Roll, this dude's probably 500 pounds or close to it.
yeah,
Big, very big guy, and he's dropped almost 200 pounds, I think, most recent.
yeah, just look up Jelly Roll before and after, and you'll see it's a crazy, uh, crazy. In this time, right? Like you have celebrities like Serena Williams, Scott Disick. Who else you got? You had Sharon Osbourne, who is another celebrity. You had Oprah Winfrey,
Mm, mm,
called it a gift. Amy Poehler is another one, and Kelly Clarkson, Elon Musk.
mm.
Um, Sharon Osbourne actually said she quit because she didn't want to go this thin. She had Ozempic face. Sharon Osbourne did.
Damn.
Um, and so yeah, it's definitely the most popular. It's one of those things where it's like it's the magic pill. We talked about the
Yeah.
magic pill. If you have a magic pill to do something, and it's as close as we can get to a magic pill that we had talked about
Yeah,
in
society's been looking
society.
for it for a while, ever since we
No,
were
100%.
kids. When the overweight in late '80s, early '90s, and throughout the 2000s, it's just the amount of the society percentage-wise that kept getting overweight, obese, just kept increasing,
Yeah.
and
And so especially if you have diabetes and it's because of weight, type 2 diabetes, I mean, it's definitely like something you should do because weight loss, there's so many chronic diseases that are symptoms of weight gain and
mhm.
obesity. And so if you can lose all that, you it's very impactful to your health, and so it could be a nice jump start for you.
Yeah.
And so you should definitely consider it. There's a so one of the things I wanted to do is just look up like what are research back, mo- mostly looking at randomized controlled trials, like what is the evidence on like other alternative methods beyond GLP-1. And I'm just going to rattle off a bunch. and just show like the weight loss and the time frame you could do that weight loss. And so this is proven human studies, placebo versus uh, these different diets and or methods. And so one of them is calorie restriction, low carb, uh, randomized controlled trial, weight loss 7 to 11 pounds over 12 weeks, so decent. And ketogenic plus is another one, 6 to 15 pounds, 8 to 24 weeks.
Mm.
Time restricted eating, so time restricted eating around 5 pounds in 12 weeks. And so time restricted would just be like, hey, you just don't eat after 7 p.m. and you don't start eating till 10 a.m. or 12 p.m. the next day, something like that.
Which Jelly Roll's doing. And
Is he?
also combined with that, there's many studies, and we talked about lean muscle mass, where if you're on a time restricted or intermittent fasting, they can that those words are used interchangeably. But if you're on one of those diets where you're eating in a window and usually eating the same calories amount and everything, so like they did a study
Yeah.
where you're using the exact same diet, so a person that eats all day rather than a person that eats in a window from, say, I usually stop eating by 7, and then I'll usually eat either at 10 or 11 a.m. is when I've been eating, and been doing that for 4 or 5 years. Love it. But where the lean muscle mass actually increased when you switch to a time restricted, eating the exact same diet, same calories, everything combined. So you're building lean muscle mass still, and that's why you don't see the Ozempic face with people that are doing fasting, unless you're doing a crazy quick fasting where you're barely eating anything, then you can still get it. But if you're doing it naturally and you're being smart about it, you won't get it.
Yep. Intermittent fasting was on here, 5 to 13 pounds over 8 to 24 weeks. Just plain old diet and exercise. There's studies on that. So they did a meta-analysis over 78 randomized control trials, 10 to 20 pounds, 8 to 24 weeks, right? You just simple diet and exercise routine
Yeah.
is a good one. And it's like, it's important. Like those two combined are important. I saw at preserving lean muscle mass and fat loss, like exercise plus diet. So you do exercise plus time restricted eating or intermittent fasting. Exercise plus low carb is a good one. High protein diets, 10 to 18 pounds in 12 to 24 weeks. So that was a significant one. Whole food diets, where just eating whole foods, were not the store, but apples and blueberries and cucumbers and whole foods.
Nothing in boxes and bags and
Yeah. So then they did prolonged fasting, which is longer term fasting, 10 to 20 pounds. So you and I are familiar with that method. Every time we do it, we lose 8 to 10 pounds, and we gain it back, but we're intentionally. But that's another one. And then there's ways to do like natural GLP-1 elevation. So there's like these GLP-1, you can look these up. Like there's these like stacks, GLP-1 natural stacks you can do, where it'll naturally promote this hormone. So you do like protein, fiber, resistant starch, and walking. Like just walking after dinner is like increases your GLP-1 activation. And resistant starch, for those who don't know, is like you have say a potato. You heat up a potato, you let it cool, you heat it up again, and it increases the resistant starch. That carbohydrate basically like improves, and you're able to digest it better.
but
And
don't
so it's
heat
just
it up
better for your
a ton the second time. Just heat it up, right? You don't try to
yeah
not use a microwave when you do it too.
Yeah, definitely not a microwave. Exercise alone, 4 to 10 pounds, 12 to 24 weeks. And so those are just a bunch of different ways to just lose weight and in general. But this, right?
Everybody
Like how
knows
to
it.
lose weight.
Yeah.
You know how to lose weight. So it's more, we're addicted to a certain foods, and we have habits we have to change. And so there's a lot of behavior change, and that's the hardest thing to do, is to change our behavior. And so I think, what was our first podcast, was we talked about discipline, and how challenging that is. It's a struggle for me every day, and everyone. and those, so that's your biggest. If you wrote down on paper, if you gave someone else advice, you're going to say most of these things. You're going to say, "Oh, I could start eating better. I could exercise more." But it matters of like actually executing on, it. And that's why a magic pill is solves all your problems.
Mm.
But what we're worried about is the unintended consequences. There's an a an axiom that I've learned over time, and is that like anytime humans intervene in nature and we act like God, right? One of those things, like there's going to be unintended consequences that we can't foresee, and uh, if we're not measuring for those, if we're not looking out for those, it could have deleterious effects on your health. And this comes up over and over and over, especially in nutrition and health. And I think this is something that you gotta look out for, because we don't know, like we mentioned in earlier, the research, like there hasn't been a study beyond 3 years to look at long-term effects, and even then they've shown bone mineral density loss, lean muscle mass loss, which are two very bad things,
Hmm.
and then uh, GI issues. GI is like extremely important to your health. They talk about your stomach and is like your second brain and all of the positive bacteria. So that's one thing to just keep in mind is it is a magic pill, but we don't know the unintended consequences yet. So hopefully they aren't too bad, but just make sure to try to be diligent.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. One of the we talked to. I shared this quote in that Discipline podcast, I think, or one of them. But it was like Chris Kresser talks about your genes load the gun, but your environment pulls the trigger. And like someone's probably thinking, well, I mean, you could be set up in a poor environment because your parents are overweight, or you just got caught up in getting stressed too much at work, and you got used to this diet, and now you have kids, and yeah, everybody eats unhealthy. It's become this like accepted thing in the home, and that's a very difficult thing to get out of. And then you have these what appears to be these disadvantageous genes, right? Which is true, but they're loading. They give you maybe a 1 foot, the other guy a 1 foot head start, but
Hmm.
you're still in the arena, right? And that
Hmm.
same goes with uh, anyone that's aged 50 or higher as well. There's always time to improve. You always have enough time, and there's many studies talking about that and sharing elderly people who take walks and can start losing weight and making these habit changes. But like it's very easy to discourage and try to look at all these ways of why you can't do it. But if you need to jump in and get a boost from the GLP ones, fine. But you really got to take it serious around like, I need to change my diet. I need to start making better habit changes in my life, and so I can prepare when or set a date when you want to come off these things, right? 6 months
Yeah,
to a
yeah, yeah. That's a
year.
good one.
Um, and by that time, ideally you would have some great habit changes. And if you're in a home that someone's very resistant to these new behavior changes, like just keep doing it, sharing tidbits here and there if they're asking, or if your kids are uh, beating you up saying buy the ho-hos,
Hmm.
buy
You
the
just got to get over
Twinkies.
the hump.
Yeah,
You got to get over the hump.
just keep sharing. They'll see the results from you, and then you can
It will
start
force
sharing.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lead by
100%.
lead by example will change a lot of things. And
Oh, 100%. 100%. Easier said than done, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. Well, we've did it in our lives. It's the one things that I wanted to share is like there's a lot of research as well when it comes to, say you're a father, or a potential getting ready to be a father, or a mother getting ready to be a parent. There's a lot of research on you setting your kids' genes up and your kids' genes up by you changing your behaviors now, by eating better and exercising. There's many studies out there. You can just search them or search ChatGPT around, um, exercising, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, all the negative things and positive things of changing your actual genes of when it comes to certain receptors and when it comes to like negative things like cancer and then positive things like high metabolism rate and the like. So that was a
Yep.
lot of things you and I read about when we leading up to having kids. So we try to take it serious, and if you want to be a father or mother, set your kids up for success way ahead of time, and don't give them that give them a head start from all the other folks in society rather than putting them behind the eight ball.
100%. Yeah, that's another thing that you know haven't really considered is even the unintended consequences
Mm.
of like your offspring with taking a pharmaceutical. You know what I mean? Uh,
No
it,
studies on it. Why would they study it?
yeah, yeah. But there was toxins. I remember uh, pesticides residues impacting like multiple generations where like even they did these rat studies because they could do it quicker down the generations, and the like one rat, if you have a certain amount of toxic overload from a pesticide, it actually like skipped, didn't have any genetic issues with the initial offspring, but it actually the one after, so like grandparent toxic over, or not grandparent, like eventually a grandparent, but the one person, they have kids and they have kids, it's them who get
Mm.
behind the eight ball because the grandparent now had all that toxic overload.
Yeah.
So to your point, that's what I remember when it came to mind. Uh, yeah, I think like when it comes to forming good habits, like what you'll see is like even when I was rattling off Jelly Roll, it's like, hey, he was doing 4 to 6 days a week. He's running, he's walking, but he didn't start that way, right? Like he built up to it.
Mm-hmm.
He's been at it for years now, over a year at least, and it takes time. So you have to set like very, very tiny goals. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna eat uh, something in a box this week, or maybe one day if you're eating it every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just nothing in a box this week. Or if sugar is your thing, sugar. That's why when I was rattling off some of those diets, low carb is in there, because like especially refined high carbohydrates basically are converted into sugars, and your body stores it in fat, and so then you gain weight. Same with sugar, right? And so like basically high carb diets and sugar, it's a similar uh, mechanism for you to gain weight. And so
Mm-hmm.
like reducing your sugar is definitely important. You can actually, sugar is actually fine if you're working out a lot and you're just constantly burning that off. But if you're not, then it's just going to get stored, as Ronnie was talking about, into that visceral fat. And that's why you start seeing it. It starts getting into your tissues. Adipose tissues, another name for it, like instead of like the subcutaneous. A great example is like you see a baby and they have the cute little fat chubby cheeks, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just that subcutaneous, and they're 1 year old, they're just eating mother's milk so far, and everything, like nature's in perfect harmony. Then over time, sometimes you see those like overweight 7-year-olds where they look kind of like the Michelin Man,
Mm-hmm.
and super super chubby, and then that's when it's just got into like it went way beyond, and it's because all of that sugar, all of that carbs, and then it's not being burned, and then it's just being stored into that fat, and that's when it's 10 times harder to lose. And when you're going to most likely need one of these GLP-1s, or you're going to get diabetes over time.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it works loosely. And so that's that's one thing I would say. And then for exercise, it's like the exercise is the most difficult thing to start a habit for. So like do 5 push-ups a day. Do 5 push-ups a week.
Hmm. That's it. Do 5 push-ups a day
You do
for
it?
7 days. That's it.
Yeah. Just do that and then do it for the second week. Then you'll start building a habit. Then you can add on other things. Now
Hmm.
you do 5 squats, 5 push-ups, 5 squats,
Hmm. And
and slowly add on.
yeah, compound it. We talked about habits a lot in our habits podcast. I think the first or second one. But like pair it with another habit. Say you drink coffee every day. So as the coffee's preparing, do your push-ups right then as you're waiting for it. So it's like, hey,
Hmm.
this you already have a habit with your coffee that's never going to change. Then boom, pair it with some air squats and push-ups. Those two, that's it. 20 air squats, 5 push-ups. Do it for a week straight, and then you get for a week straight. Let's up it a little bit. Then maybe start adding some other things, but don't get too crazy because then you'll get discouraged when you miss a day. And one of the one things we always talk about, you miss one day, that's fine, but never miss two because then you start
Yeah.
uh, going in the opposite direction of the habit that you want. And
Yeah. It becomes a habit. Like not doing it becomes the habit.
yeah, and then start hanging out. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Tim Ferriss, I think that's, and a lot of people said this. And one thing, Jelly Roll, because we've been following him for years now, and he's been talking about his overweightness and stuff and wanting to make changes for a long time now. And he's started to hang out with people, other folks like Joe Rogan. I saw him running with Cam Hanes, like very
Oh, wow.
healthy, nutritional, intelligent folks who,
Mm,
who high discipline people is who he started hanging out with. And obviously he's high discipline. He's a great artist and is,
right.
one of the best, was one of the best bands in the country. So he's definitely disciplined in ways. But he started hanging out with other people like Cam Hanes. If you don't know him, Cam Hanes, he's famous for running like 100 miles every day for like a entire year, just insane amount.
Hmm. And and it's hard to like do that sometimes. You might be in a scenario, and it's like the easiest way is like with the internet. Like we have mentors all around us. Like just pop on a podcast, just start listening to different podcasts,
Hmm.
listen to different YouTube videos, listen to, don't listen to that. Maybe, here's a habit you could start creating is listen to one less political podcast or political YouTube or social media something, and just replace it with one where it's just like it's health. It's talking about health.
Hmm.
You can just pop one of those on. Rhonda Patrick, Chris Kresser, Mark Hyman, Gary Brecka, who else?
Chris Kresser,
Peter
did you say him?
Attia,
Yeah. Chris
Chris Kresser, Peter,
Masterjohn. Chris Masterjohn
Chris
was just on Joe
Masterjohn.
Rogan. He's a really good one. Uh,
Any of those names, just put it into Spotify or YouTube, and you're gonna get good content that it will start building into your brain.
mhm. I had a couple. Um, so fasting, we were talking about fasting a lot, and fasting is just another great way to, instead of GLP-1s. and
Hmm.
and then a couple things that fasting does is one, it can get you in the ketogenic state really quickly, which your body changes from burning carbohydrates to fats. So then it starts to burn your fats. That's what the ketogenic diet
Hmm.
is. And or you could just cut out all carbs, and then your body will change systems of what it burns for fuel. And so that's one of the things that fasting does too. It'll kick you in it really quickly. You do it 18 to 20-hour fast, boom, you're in it
Hmm.
immediately. And then all you got to do is start just eating meat and vegetables and fats and cut out the carbs, and then you can stay on that ketogenic diet for a week, 2 weeks, boom. And I guarantee it, you shared this study. What was it, 5 to 10 pounds for ketogenic? Uh,
Yeah, it was
but like,
6 to 15 pounds in 8 to 24 weeks.
yeah, so you're pairing ketogenic with a fasting, intermittent, time restricting eating. So then you're not only keeping your lean muscle mass, but
Hmm.
you're eating protein, right? You're eating protein and
Hmm.
healthy
Hmm.
fats, good fats, and then so that's to me that's one of the best ways if you don't want to get on the GLP-1 and because it's similar like if you ever been to college or trying to get stuff done, they're all trying to get you on Adderall. Everyone's trying to get you on Adderall, right? And it's like
Yeah.
you get on it and then you become reliant on it. Become reliant on
Yeah.
to do your homework, become reliant on to write your papers and all this stuff. And or that's just what I've heard.
It becomes a habit,
I've tried it
basically.
once, maybe twice, but I never wanted to do it because I knew I'd start to rely on it because I seen too many people in college. I think there's an insane amount of numbers, like 40 to 50%, maybe even
Hmm.
higher, and
Hmm.
that are on it legally or illegally, or prescribed or unprescribed. So like that's where you some people can just become reliant on this GLP-1 and behavior change is really difficult as we've talked about. So you don't want to change all these. I don't want to, I want to keep eating my Doritos and
Hmm.
Chick-fil-A, 55 ingredients in a sandwich and 33 ingredients in a chip.
And fasting's hard. It's difficult,
Yeah.
especially like if you're on those like addictive foods, and even myself, like I'm not on those addictive foods, but even just food in general is addictive, right?
Hmm.
Naturally.
Hmm.
And but you can start eating healthier foods that are still really yummy, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go to a ketogenic diet and just you can eat beef sticks and peanut butter and
Avocados,
yeah, and
eggs, cheese.
yeah, even like chocolate, but at at a high percentage cacao, like 90% cacao, 95%. You don't want to eat a lot of sugar if you're trying to do keto, but just doing low carb, like low carb was one of those ones that were in the trials for and so you can do like you can eat pork rinds, you can crunch on some things if you like the crunch.
Hmm.
You can do uh there's this at Whole Foods now they have Zach's Mighty tortilla chips, and it's organic, regenerative, beta-based corn, organic avocado oil, and so it doesn't have all the crap, and so you can find like the high quality
What's the
snacks,
potato
right?
chips we eat?
Um,
Made with
Vandy,
oh yeah,
Vandy.
Vandy chips. It's potato
Hmm.
chips, but made the highest quality potato chip in the game. A little more expensive,
Yeah,
but if you want to
yeah.
get your fix, I, I like potato chips, but they're very unhealthy for you. But
Mhm.
this one's real food and it's healthy for you. It's not some bad seed oil, rancid seed oil. It's made with uh, not lard, but
Beef,
beef tallow. Boom, high
yeah,
quality beef tallow.
organic beef tallow. What else are like good cheat things that you can just snack
Like
on that are easy? Like,
yogurt and fruit,
yeah,
like yogurt and
yeah.
blueberries is my
Very
go-to.
high protein.
Yeah.
Very high protein. Get whole fat if you're eating the dairy. You can get raw cheese get raw if you can. You can't get that with the yogurt, but you can get it with the um, cheese, especially at Whole Foods. You can get raw cheese, and
Hmm.
it's just good that way. And it's very high protein. But like these things like are very good. You're not going to be missing out. You're not going to go hungry. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even just eating beef jerky and cheese, like I could do that every day for a long time.
Yeah, salami. Deer salami. Our mom makes it. My brother-in-law makes it, and we eat that with cheese and you can get some healthy crackers out there. There's some of these sourdough crackers you can get at Whole Foods,
Yeah,
organic
yeah.
sourdough, high quality, made with olive oil. So
You can even get candy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
If you wanted to go down that route, like you know
smart
what I mean. If you
sweets.
want to ease your way back,
Yeah,
uh, you can do it.
yeah. Because we're pretty disciplined folks, and we still like to snack. So,
100%.
but if you smart snack, you should be fine.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a commitment, and no matter unless you're just fully committed to just staying on that forever, it's gonna be high cost. The GLP-1 is gonna be very high cost, and there's the unintended consequences you're gonna lose that we're unsure of, long term effects we're unsure of, and then the lean muscle mass and the bone mineral density, like those are very scary things long term. So, uh, yeah, just beware.
Yeah. Some of
Uh,
the other things that fasting does, fasting actually drives growth hormones like HGH and the like. So it
mm,
naturally uh,
mm,
drives those hormones that produce, and then it like there's some evidence that it increases like skin elasticity, and then also it helps like remove connective tissue and skin not needed through like autophagy. And so like and these are things that naturally fasting does. So like if you're losing a bunch of weight and you hear all these people like lose a bunch of weight and then they gotta like get surgery to get the fat off, like the fasting's eating it up. It's like eating it and using
right.
it for energy. But if you're doing it in these synthetic ways, it's probably not you're probably gonna have some stuff that you may not like even when you're skinny. You're probably going to find something else you don't like.
Yeah. I
Hopefully
mean,
you can begin to love yourself and accept the way you are.
yeah,
you
that's
know,
another big one we
that's
need to talk about.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
very
nature
important.
has ran on millions of years of trial and error, and so that's what you're fighting against. It's like if we are doing fasting, it's a built-in process that took millions of years of trial and error to get it to where it is now, and so it's going to take care of you. Syn- you add something synthetic, it doesn't have that. It just has the human potential, the human intelligence added to it without a long-term trial and error. So there's risk.
Hmm.
We'll just say that.
Another thing,
But
real quick on the fasting before we leave off of it, another thing it talked about doing is called beiging of white fat, which essentially just means turns your white fat cells into brown fat, which brown fats have like more mitochondria in them, and it helps
mm,
like activate those fats. And the same thing happens. You're familiar with it, Rand, of taking cold showers or taking
hmm hmm
cold dips as you burn more of that, which is and it's those fats are like burning calories for like to heat up to your body or whatever.
mm,
But they
hmm
apparently, but it helps. A lot of times it focuses more on the abdominal fat, which everyone wants to lose. So like, I don't think the GLP ones is doing that. If it is, it's not doing it as well. I can guarantee that.
yeah. I gotta I gotta jump here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Any last words?
Yeah. I would just, we're not against it. Just use
Yeah,
it to
definitely
gain
not.
confidence. Use it
Mm.
to give you a
Those
head start, and then start to build better habits. Start to eat better. Start to do some of those exercises, and just have faith in yourself, and try to start hanging out with people, listen to other folks, and that are sharing these similar things. And uh,
Let us know.
good luck
Let
on
us
your
know if
journey.
yeah. Let us know if you have any anecdotal reports that are different than what we've talked about, and yeah, let us know about your journey.
Yeah. Toodaloo.
Bye, everybody.
Hey.